Hi everybody. In part 4 of our Introduction to Tessera webinar, we're going to show you how to build a very simple scoreboard graphic and then how to use the region mapper to combine that with content already playing on our ribbon display using multi-layering. Now the last thing we're going to show you guys today is building a more traditional graphic, something that's going to use text objects and things like that in XPression for like a little scoreboard. A scoreboard interface that's going to exist on our ribbon. So the next thing we're going to build is our scoreboard scene. Now this is going to be basic. This is not going to be a design class on how to build a scoreboard. So this is not going to be the prettiest looking thing you've ever seen. But more than anything, it's going to be focused on how we map this to a region and get it onto the output in a specific location. So I'm going to go ahead and build a new custom size scene. Now how big do I want my scoreboard to be? Let's say 800 by 80. Sorry, 800 by 80. Okay, so this is going to be our little score strip that goes on our ribbon. So what does a score strip typically consist of? Well, you're going to have your home and away score, right? So those need to have some kind of look and feel to them, right? With our team logos or colors, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just quickly build our home team and away team objects. So I'm going to go ahead and build a group. And this group is going to be called V team. So V team group. Inside V team group, we're going to have a quad. And that quad is going to be called V color. And it's going to be 80 pixels tall. And I don't know. Yeah, 200 works. That's good enough. So conveniently, I have some materials ready to go here. And we'll share this project with you so you'll have these assets as well. But I'm going to go ahead and make a new folder. And we're just going to call this logos, let's say. And we'll make a new image, and this image is going to be our visiting team color. So Seattle's primary color. Okay, there it is. Now we want our visiting team logo. So this will be V logo. And we'll make another new material. And this will be Seattle's logo. And we're going to set it to maintain aspect. And we're going to up the texture coordinates here so it's kind of, a large image like this. And we're going to leave some space for the score on the right-hand side, right? So we're going to kind of shift the logo off to the left just to give ourselves some space for the actual score that's going to go on here. And then we'll kind of we'll dress things up a little bit with like a glossy overlay, so this looks sort of like a glass tile with the logo on it. So we're going to go ahead and copy the logo, and we'll go ahead and make a new image. And I conveniently have this keyable reflection image. And we're going to set this to be additive. So we're going to go to its blending modes, and we're going to change it to additive so that it actually, boosts the luminance of things that it's in front of, right? So it gives us that really sort of like glossy, glowing effect, right? And we're going to put that on top. And then we're going to adjust the opacity of this object so that it's far more subdued. That's a bit intense, right? So maybe like 20. Yeah, that looks okay. 30. Let's stick with 20. Okay. So there's our home team. And then we're going to go ahead and build our score, which will be just a text object. And we'll just, for simplicity's sake, we'll just use a big chunky Arial font that's all caps. And that is centered. Just go ahead and put this inside of our group, and we're going to put it underneath our gloss. So this is our V gloss, I guess. And then this text object is V score. So V score. And v-score we're going to position here. And we'll make it 0, sure, for now, 0. Okay, so there's our visitor score. Okay, so that's our visiting team group, right? Now, we're going to position this to the left, like that. And then we're going to make our home team group. And to make our home team group, I'm just going to copy our visiting team group. So now we have another group. We'll move it over here. And this is H team group. We'll just go ahead and rename the objects in here so we know what's what. So this is going to be H color, H logo, H score, and H gloss. And we'll just go ahead and apply different materials to these. So in our material manager, we're going to go and make a new image, and this will be our home logo, which is the Ottawa Lumberjacks. So our Ottawa primary, that's going to be our home color. We're going to make a new image that is our logo, and that will be H logo. And we're just going to flip-flop things. So if the texture coordinates for this, for our logo, were -341, I'm going to make them +341 to put the logo on the opposite side. And if our score for the visiting team, if its position was 41 on the next x-axis, I'm going to make our home position -41. Right? So now we've got our, our little scoreboard. And then in the middle, we'll make our area for the clock, and then we'll just kind of call it a day. All right. So go ahead and make another group, and this is going to be the clock group. And then inside the clock group, we're going to have a background that's going to have some kind of solid color on it. So just a new material. Maybe it'll have a gradient, actually. We'll give it like a slight gradient. It kind of fades from like a light gray to a darker gray. Like this. It's our clock group. Tall. Okay, and then just for the heck of it, this is going to be clock BG, and then we'll put like a little glossy texture on it too. We'll put the same thing, so like clock gloss, and it will have our shiny material on it with an alpha of 20. Move it down. And we'll go ahead and build the object that will be the clock. So this will be center justified as well. So this is the clock itself. We'll just zero this out. 0, 0, 0, 0. All right. And maybe we'll use a black font on this. So I'll just make a black material. All right, so there's our clock. Here's our very simple scoreboard. Obviously, there's a lot of work left to be done here to make this truly functional, but that's sort of not the point. So we're going to rename this. This is going to be the scoreboard. Okay. And then we're going to go into our region mapper, and we're going to build a source for the scoreboard. So we're going to add a source. Its dimensions will be 800 by 80. Okay. we'll rename this. This is going to be Scoreboard. But we're going to challenge ourselves a little bit, all right? I want the scoreboard to appear. So based on how our stadium is designed, right? We want the scoreboard to appear in a position that just happens to span stripe 3 and stripe 4. So part of the scoreboard needs to be on stripe 3 and the other part of it needs to be on stripe 4, right? We just the way things worked out and visually where we wanted that scoreboard to land, we wanted it to span these two stripes. So I'm going to use some arbitrary numbers here, but we're going to say that 300 pixels are going to be on stripe 3, and the remaining 500 pixels are going to be on stripe 4. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is in our source, we're going to add some regions. 300 by 80, and that's going to be at position 0. And then we're going to add another one that's 500 by 80, and it will be positioned at 300. Okay, and we'll call this score left and score right. Okay. I can't take one source and just sort of, I guess, magically put it onto two stripes, right? So we're going to basically chop this into two sections and then render the two sections onto the two stripes, all right? So we've built our regions in our source. We built our source and our regions. We're going to go to our destination. We're going to build the corresponding destination region. So I'm going to add 300 by 80. Okay, and then I'm just going to position this where I want it to go. So the left part of the scoreboard is going to go here. So that's going to be score left. And then we're going to add another one that's 500 by 80. And it's going to go down here onto stripe 4, beginning at 0, 0, or beginning at 0 on X, I should say. And this is going to be stripe, score right. So score left, score right. And now in our source for scoreboard, I can just route those to those two regions. Score left, score right. Okay. We're going to make sure our scoreboard has a default source in the Tessera tab. So we're going to set this to scoreboard. We're also going to make sure it has a default layer. Now we want the scoreboard. Well, I guess it depends, actually. It depends what you're trying to do. Do you want the scoreboard underneath your video content? Do you want it on top of your video content? Typically, if it was a sponsorship layer or something that was looping, like looping advertisement, the scoreboard would probably be layered on top, and then cover-ups, like your make noise graphic and things like that, would be on a layer above. But just so we can see what we're actually doing, I'm going to put this on a layer above, and we're going to make sure that it's assigned. So our highest, our takeover layer that we were using, our full takeover layer, was assigned to 500. Okay. So I just want to make sure that this is above 500. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this on layer 501. And then we'll go into our sequencer. We're going to drop this into our sequence. Okay. And I'm going to go and show our outputs again. We're going to go ahead and start playing our clip. And then I'm going to go ahead and take our scoreboard online. And there it is, right? You can actually see it on our output. Go and show you just the outputs themselves, right? And there's our scoreboard mapped to our third output channel, and you see a portion of the scoreboard on stripe 3 and a portion of the scoreboard on stripe 4. Now, if we were to take all of this offline, and I change this layering around, and we put the scoreboard on 400, right? So now we put the scoreboard online, it's there. If we go ahead and play our takeover, it'll actually render on top. So now the takeover is on top of our scoreboard. If we take the takeover down, we now see the scoreboard underneath. So that's our introduction to region mapping in Tessera for stadium applications. I hope you've enjoyed it. You can watch this whole thing in its entirety, or take it in step by step, starting with that first example where we're just taking that 3840 by 1080 scene and mapping it onto two outputs, and then sort of build yourself up to doing the ribbon mapping. But once you understand these main concepts, you can start really being creative in how you build your scenes, build your regions, and basically design the production to match the venue that you're producing in. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be talking again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.